Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great day. I'm having a great day. Thanks for joining for another episode of Tableau Tip Tuesday, the series where we shine a light on some of Tableau's functionality. Anybody from beginner to expert, this is going to be a great series for you just because you can find some of those hidden gems that take your visualizations to a new level. So today we're going to be going over part 2 of our dashboard series here. We're going to be going over interactivity, including dashboard actions. We're going to be going over 4 of the 6 actions that Tableau has within it. If you want another video about the last remaining 2, happy to put that together for you guys. But the parameter actions and the go-to sheet actions tend to be a little bit easier, more point and click. Alright, so one thing I want to be very clear about is that usually I wait till the very end of the entire dashboard making process to set my interactivity, whether that's filters or actions or parameters or any interactivity that you want to add to a dashboard. I find it's a lot easier to do it at the very end stages after I have my charts made, my message crafted, what the dashboard's purpose is, the audiences that it's going to. Then I like to separate my interactivity into 3 separate categories. 1, what interactivity will they want? 2, what interactivity will they need? And 3, what interactivity will actively distract from the message that I'm trying to convey on this dashboard. So just keep that in mind as we're going forward, but without further ado, let's go ahead and get to work here. So I have a series of dashboards created for us here. Same dashboard for everything, but we're going to be going over 4 different dashboard actions. But before we get into the dashboard actions, I do like to call out that if you want to, with just a simple filter on your dashboard, you can see that right now if I select furniture, it's only affecting the pie chart in the top left. However, if I select this drop-down arrow, I can have this apply to all related data sources, this data source, or worksheets that I select. So before we get into actions, just understand that if you prefer to drive your dashboards from little radio boxes like this, this is a perfectly viable option for you to be able to filter that information out. Alright, first action we're going to cover here, and just so we are all clear, we find our dashboard actions up in our dashboard menu under Actions, or Control-Shift-D for all you keyboard shortcut junkies out there. But the first action we're going to be going over is a highlight action. So if I press my action, this dialog pops open right here, and if we go to our Add Actions, these are the 6 different actions that Tableau is inherently capable of. We're going to be starting off with highlight here. Now the 4 we're going to be going over are filter, highlight, URL actions, and then skipping to the bottom one here, change set values right here. So generally speaking, a highlight action, which we're going to explore first, we want to run that on a hover. We don't want to force our ending user to manually click in order to reflect the changes. So we're just going to run it whenever they hover over that piece right here. So I'm going to call this pie highlight. Now all of our actions are separated into the source sheets and target sheets. So the source is the source of your mouse click and the target is the targeted change. So we are going to have our hover on our pie chart highlight the respective charts with the category that we are hovering over. Alright, we'll go ahead and press OK. Press OK here. We can see that action now living in my actions menu here. Press OK, and now when we hover over our pie chart, we can see a nice highlight action highlighting the data that pertains to the category that we're hovering over. Very nice stuff right there. Moving right along, we're going to be doing a filter action next. Let's go back up to dashboard actions here, and we're going to add a filter action. And again, we have the source of our click right on top and the targeted change down here on the bottom. So we can set up one action to drive the entire dashboard, or we can set up a series of actions to kind of guide our ending user through our dashboard. So let's go ahead and do the latter here. We're going to have our pie chart as the source of our click, but the only thing we wanted to change is going to be our scatter plot here. Then we're going to want to make a further selection in our scatter plot here to affect our bar chart. So we're actually going to be setting up 2 filters. So I'm just going to name this pie-scatter so I know from my menu what this is the source and target for this action. And we'll run this one on a select. Again, we don't want to hover over a pie slice and have our dashboard change. We want to force a manual click, so we can just go ahead and press OK. So we'll go ahead and add our second action here. We'll add our second filter action for our scatter to bar plot, and then we'll go ahead and see if it works. So we'll add a filter action. We're going to have the source of our click be our scatter plot, and we're going to have our targeted change be our bar chart here We'll go ahead and name this scatter to bar. We'll run it on a select. And we'll just go ahead and press OK. We'll go over some of these options here in just a minute. Well, for now, we'll just press OK. And now we're just going to test to make sure that it works. So our selection in our pie chart should only affect our scatter plot. And that is exactly the case right here. And then our selection in our scatter plot should update the bar chart with the new values that we have now selected. Working perfectly. Now, if we wanted to continue to craft our message using a separate dashboard, I always like to show here that if I go into my actions menu and we edit one of these actions, we can actually have it take it to an entirely separate dashboard. So we don't have to have the changes reflected on this dashboard. We can continue our journey on the next dashboard. All right, so one of the other options here that I really like here is clearing the selection will. Now this seems a little bit counterintuitive to me. When I select exclude all values, you would think that when you click, it's going to exclude your click. But it's actually just the opposite, and I like this for really busy dashboards. If you have stuff that takes a little while to condense and boil down that insight, it can be nice to exclude that chart. So now when you make a selection, you are presented with the new data rather than having an overly busy dashboard right at the outset. So let's go ahead and edit our second action just so we can see what that's going to look like here. We'll edit this action to exclude all values from my selection, and we'll press OK. And as soon as we clear our filter selection, we're going to see that we're presented with basically a blank dashboard, only one chart to look at, so we can craft our message by having our charts appear based on our filter actions. All right, moving right along, we got URL actions coming up next. So I have a map made up for us, and essentially we want to pass our mouse click along to a URL website. So in order to accomplish that, you do have to have a structured URL. So for the purposes of this, I'll be using Wikipedia. And what I mean by a structured URL is if I type in Illinois here, and we go up here to our URL bar, every Wikipedia article is going to start with en.wikipedia.org/wiki/, and then Illinois is going to be the variable or the value that we're going to pass to the internet here. So we'll go ahead and we'll copy out this structured URL so we can use it within Tableau. We'll navigate back to Tableau down here. And I need to add a web page object in order for this to work within Tableau. If I don't add a web page object, it will just open up a browser outside of Tableau, so that's not what we want for this instance right here. And just a word for the wise, this is a fully capable web browser. You know, you can do anything that you need to. I've seen reorder forms or SOPs stuck in here just using a standard web page element. But for our purposes, we don't want to go to a website. We want it to take us to Wikipedia. So we're going to leave this URL blank. All right, so now we're going to take that URL we copied earlier and we're going to add it to our dashboard actions. So if we come up here to dashboard actions, we can go ahead and add a URL action here. Now for this one, it's a little bit different because we have the source of our click, but our targeted change is actually a URL here. So let's go ahead and name this thing before we forget here. I'm going to name this select this link to view wiki. A nice spoken English menu because this is actually going to be their menu that they click. So we want the words to have meaning to them. So we'll come over here to our URL bar. We'll paste in our URL. And just like I promised, we want to remove the word Illinois and we want to insert the variable that we'll pass. So in order to do that, we'll delete Illinois. We'll type in open left caret, type in state, and type in close right caret. Now it is important to note that this is a true variable, so if you misspelled your state field in your source tables, you would have to misspell it here. If the S was lowercase, you'd have to have it lowercase here. It is a direct variable being passed to the internet. But that's all there is to it. If we go ahead and press OK, now we can select a state, and you can see that my menu link is in here. Select this link to view wiki. And I can open that up to get the structured URL alongside the variable that I passed it of Illinois. Now I know we started with Illinois, so let's go ahead and click on California so we can see those that web page update right there. And there you go. Now we're on the wiki for California. So you can do some very creative stuff with intranets or with CRMs or SharePoints or anything of that nature. You can get a lot of that right into Tableau directly. All right, next thing we're going to be doing is a set action here. Set actions are a little bit different. So I have a previous video that describes sets in full, but set actions, they basically use a static set, and then you use your ending user's mouse click to dynamically update what goes into that set. So if you watch my previous video, we know that sets are dynamic. So why would we ever want to click on a mark in my scatter plot and create a static set? Well, the reason we would do it is because we want to tie a dashboard action to update the values of this set. So when we go ahead and press OK, we have a set down here in our data pane that has exactly one item. It is a static set, meaning there's nothing dynamic forcing it to update. But what I want to do is I just want to drop that set onto my bar chart over here. So when I place it onto color, we get what's called proportional brushing. Now I have a historical filter from our previous action here, so let me just go ahead and clear that on off of here, clear our previous action as well. And now we can see with this little blue bar out here that that is the proportion of our bookcase sales that came from the object that we selected previously. Now if we go over to our set actions page, it is still just static, right? A selection is not going to change anything because we need to have a dashboard action to tell it to. So we'll go up to our dashboard actions, add action here. We're going to add a set action. And just like our URL, our target is not going to be a sheet, but rather just the set that we placed on the color of our bar chart. So the source of our click will still be the scatter plot here, and the targeted set is going to be the dashboard action set that we created previously. Now when I press OK, we are going to update the color on the bar chart based on the new selections that we're making right here. Pretty cool stuff right there. That's called proportional brushing. There are plenty of other use cases for set actions that you guys can go and explore online, but as you can see, none of the actions are too scary or something that you should be avoiding. We just want to know a couple of fundamentals to make us use them properly. All right, that's all we have for you guys this time. Join us next week for another tip.